Atalo fatu ili pa ia man mamalu o whaia onga, whapea pūlenga o a onga amata ia e mai se foi ia tūlanga lua ma onga maululunga. Whaftai lava mole lava ono sai mai ia ole manatu ina ia le leile tautua lana ua lewa ona tāpena mai ia le tōwhaia tu umtawai malana au mai le San Francisco Unified School District i California ia ai le amataina le tato upenga o fina ngalo whaavao ma loa o ngā amata lona tolu ia tawana whaailo atu ia paanga ale ata po lea o ngā amata Transnational Aotearoa ia o le susunga ia Falaniko Salamasina ia whaapel tofa ia tafsila whai Edward Danielson ia o suia mai Hawaii o la tofo ilea o le a whaia le tatou upenga lona wha i le masina o Aperila ia o Falaniko Pātū Salamasina Tuala Tamalelangi Fui Maono ia matafsila whai Edward Danielson o le whaia onga o le ngangana Samoa i Hawaii ia whaapea i lolea ma le tatou vaenga lela ia le tofa ia tumatawai malana au waa sunga ia Epenesa Imo Taylor o Ursula Ansiatanga ia o latou le la awhaia le tatou whaatautaia le tatou penga i lea so ia ona so atule ma Australia isi paanga o Australia ia o le sunga i le whaletua o le whawhiangainga i le e whakasa Fairfield o le whaletua ia Michi Etelima o le loia ai o lo ia whaatautaia le aonga ale la e kalesia ia whaapea le susunga ia mataniu leota ia o lo whai ma whaia onga sinia ia onga amata palangi i Sini o lo pou ia suine ia tamaitai sunga i formai Dr. Eva Mota'a Ponton mai le University of Griffith i Brisbane ia whaapea ia le formai ia e se tatuala relay mai le University Southern Queensland o sui ia o le lau i tutono la ata mai Australia ia whaapea New Zealand o le te fono le saasia le afionga ia le tuala le mali e toa so fire pen susunga ia i rene palea i foroti o le whaatonu sili lea ia whaapea le susunga ia Ruta Mackenzie o lo ia fo isui o le ata o le afionga ia whaalongo anga noa Jacoba Matapo ia o le Pro Vice Chancellor Pacifica i le AUT University ia whaapea le forma ia tawhili Utumapu McBride mai le AUT University ia malo whaatau waa o sala pawhiti mai whaasaulala tango i le langi le ota ia ai tawalunga mato sui i le tatou watunu pele o Samoa o lo ia le tatou sui mai le afionga ia e au Chris Hazelman o le whaatonu sili o le matanga luenga o onga manga nuu ia maana soa tau le afionga ia tui loma ini pene simanu ma le susunga ia utu mo se upule o sui fo ia o lo whai maleo ia lato sao i te tono le University of Samoa ia ma le tatou National Council isi i songi ia a o nai vaenga ina ia so solo le tatou whaamoemoe pe ia lava ona masani ai ia o le tatou pokalame amata le tatalo whaafeiloai fola sanga o le avanoa mo nai fesili whaaleo mai lunga le chat ia abatuele o statou whaaftai ona whaumali le tatalo tau o te manatu tatou tuli loa peale le itu la o le tatou whaamoemoe ia tatou masani foi i li pe mute uma ia whaaleo tele si ufofonga ina ia tu atoa le tatou sila ma le loto ma le totoa ie ua tāpena mo le nei whaamoemoe o le si vaenga i fia whaalawilo atu ia e mawhai on to silsila le nei upenga o fina ngalo i le Sky Channel wala sumeltolo i le asosa i le tasi le tolu i le awauli ai misi foi e mawhai ona e toe kiliki lava le link lea ia ona e sila ai al taimi foi nei o le alu atu lunga live i i le Facebook page a le a ata. Ia, ma le whaaloalo lava al taimi nei, e wala au atu i lausunga Dr. Tafili Utumapu McBride, se tasi o whaatonu sili o le a ata, ia ma le whaia onga sinia i titono o universite, i awa oina o whaia onga. I se saunia mai se tatou tatalo. Ia, awal tatou whaanono manu il tatou whaamoemoe, ma le whaaloalo lava.
Lolangi. Manuia mai i a San Francisco United School District mo le lātou tau mawhainga ai mai se tātou uma i lunga o benga tawha i langi o lo tapu wae mo le whiau tā ua i le nei aso. Ono lo alopele o Yesu Keriso na maliu mo i mātou. Amene.
Whaftaitele lava i lausunga le fomai mo le tātou tālosanga ma le tātou whaamua i lo mo le atua le nei tai au. Ia pule alofa le atua whaatasi mai le whaamoemoe a o le nei taimi. Ia e te tau ona whaailo atu a tātou au whai folisanga. Ia e manuia le tau sanga fau. Ia manuia le as whapitoa mo lau pele po le Valentine's pe on sau noa el tātou whailotu. Ia tae au au uli maa fiafi manuia ona ese a tātou taimi. Ai ile suafa malu le tātou whaaola. E ufua lofa tuai ma whaafeiloa il tātou maftanga. Manatu ua umi se taimi o tātou le feiloa ai tātou maia ia il tātou anawa tausi. O le whaafeilele ina o alom whanau o Samoa. I so o se vainga o le kelupe. E ala i le ngangana Samoa anganu. Ai maise le polili ina o le ola whaaleanganga. Tā alofa lava. O le autul nei tai au, ia la langa le ato. La langa le ato. Whaaperitania, weaving our connectivity to our cultural treasures. La langa ina o le tātou saalotonga i a tātou mea sina. Mo le silafia foi, o le tātou whaasoa le nei tai au, po le awa uli, po le afiafi. E whaonganga ngana e lua. A bilingual medium with this webinar because we're wanting to capture a certain audience who are wanting to listen in but are not really well versed with our ngangana Samoa. O lea, ma le whaaloalo lava e whaonganga ngana e lua. Ia o tātou whaifolsanga, o lo te ia mai e le tō whaia tuumatawai Herbert Wiley Ilalio, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander Coordinator. Born and raised in American Samoa, is the son of Lotolauso Baletasala Ilalio from the village of Lotofanga, Samoa, and a son to the late Mamea Toai Tumai Ilalio from the village of Safune, Savai. He's married to Lina Manga from the village of Masefau, American Samoa, and is the current Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander Coordinator for the San Francisco Unified School District. He coaches rugby and football in San Francisco for the last 20 years. He is an educator, traditionalist, preservationist, connoisseur of cultural etiquette and forgotten customs. Malo le tau, malo le soifua. Our other presenter is the lovely Epinesa Taylor. He's the early education Samoan dual language teacher. Epenesa was born in Tafuna, American Samoa, to Harry Raymond Tapu Taylor from the village of Tafuna, American Samoa. Her mother is Fa'avale Pusfa'i Matavao, who hails from Fasito'outa, Samoa. Epenesa migrated to San Francisco Bay in 1970 and is currently residing in Oakland, California. Currently, Epenesa is the teacher for the AOGA Amata LTD language class for the San Francisco Unified School District. She has been employed by the school for over 30 years, of which 25 of those years as a teacher and the rest in other capacities within the district. Epenesa is an avid supporter of all things related to the Pacific Island and communities of color. She is an immensely fierce and passionate advocate for children and her work as an educator. Ia malo le tau Epenesa, whawhatai mo le tau tua. And our last presenter, last but not least, is the wonderful Sunga Ursula and Siatanga, Special Assistant to the Superintendent. Ursula was raised and born in San Francisco, California. Her father is Tavita Asotasi Siatanga from the village of Tanungamanono, Samoa. Her mother is Ursula, Noah Siatanga from villages of Wailoa, Taputima, American Samoa. Ursula received her bachelor's degree from UCLA and a master's degree at UCSC. Her extensive community work includes violence prevention, community wellness, mental health, youth and workforce development, and also higher education. Ursula Ann was a professor at the College of San Mateo Mana Program and San Francisco State Ethnic Studies Department, Race and Resistance Program, and also in the City College of San Francisco, teaching Introduction to Ethnic Studies and Critical Pacific and Oceania Studies courses. She was a teacher recruiter for the San Francisco Unified School District and is now one of the special assistants to the superintendent of the San Francisco Unified School District, overseeing the Fa'asamoa initiative in the district. Please welcome the A-team from San Francisco Unified School District. A whiomaya e sausau noa ai se e whaafafonga le mamalu Samoa. Tu whaatasi o tō au, ia pe whaonga mai le whaailo le patipati. A o sauni mai i la tō mo le aunga le whaamoe moe. Whaafatai lava, tō wavanole nei tō matawai.
We, the Samoa Initiative team in San Francisco Unified School District, acknowledge that we are on the unceded ancestral lands of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the original stewards of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place, as well as for all people who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives, past, present, and emerging, of the Ramaytush community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First People. Ia o te manatu o lea ua umana e so o le tāwata puia ma le atua soifua, e ala i le talasanga mo lia toile ngā whaatai e sunga fomai tu sai ma tātou talasanga. Manatu fot, ia o lea ua umana a isa ma pai e whafonga le aso, ia pa ia ma mamalu sa ma whai ngāo sa mōlo mai le nei upenga o finangalo. Le ala leo le mātou le toi sunu ina i pe o ti o tau ti anga, se manu ana i whaunga ngana, Ia e au te alava o na mātou mo i tāli pola I vau, mo mātou whaatulo watu, tu sai ma lau whaafonga I le nei tu lau reasu. O le upenga o finangalo mua bua, sa tā ua ai le matanga ruenga o Samoa, o awa onga I Samoa, o le whatu ngā titi. E whatu ai le au tau wina o alo ma whanau Samoa. O le au afa sa wha peona wha lia mai I le upenga o finangalo lona lua I New Zealand. O le wha malama o le tō wha manino, o a onga amata, e wā ili leiai, le utanga ma le tō wha sa ili, a wā alo ma whanau o Samoa I Aotearoa. O le mātou tanunga, pe ona iai le manu lau ti o le nei asu, la langa le atu, la langa ina o le taso tanga I a tātou mea sina, weaving our connectivity to our cultural treasures. E ana lea, le tātou la langa ina whaatasi, o se ato pona pona, e whau penga ina ai alum whanau o Samoa, mo le lumana I San Francisco nei. O si mai alau mai moa ma South Sila, e tu sai fo se tau mo whainga o la mātou tau whai atuai. Ina ia tātou whaasoa le lei u whaasoa manino, nisi fo iau tūlanga o mātou whengai mai mātou le nei tū o tātou lalulan, o le nei tūlanga, e tu sai mle awa o ina o alum whanau o tātou. No, ya, o le awa none tu matu le tamaitai profesa I a Ursula, maro whāro lava patatai.
Thank you. Talo falava, everyone. Aloha ingoa o Ursula Ansiatanga. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's an honor to be the third international webinar. So I'll go ahead and share three things, and then I'll shift it over. One of them is talking about our transmigration. So I think before we, speak on our AOGA AMATA, it's important for everyone to know, why our Samoan people came to the U.S., right? And a little history around common themes that many other countries as well came here to the U.S. And so, hey, Ryan, is our sound good? Ryan? Okay. And then if the slide decks are up. Cool, thank you. So first we have our transmigration to the US and San Francisco. Many reasons, it's political, formal colonization. Other reasons why our communities have come to the US, military services and other careers. Other opportunities included educational opportunities, access to healthcare, religious work, and family unification. So these are definitely common ways in which many of our communities have, arrived here in the US and stayed. Next, I wanted to make sure that we talked about the school district a little bit, and a little bit of the demographics, right? So here in San Francisco Unified School District, we have about 49,560 students enrolled in the district. And this was our numbers from last year. We have about 132 schools total. This is going from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. And so when we talk about our Pacific Islander students who identify Pacific Islanders, we look at specific data sets. So of the 49,560, last year we were able to identify about 974 students identified Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, right? And so we know that a group of our students, if we look at data, those are always one of the challenges, whether it's health disparities, whether it's education, whether it's all these things, it's always around data disaggregation. It's always around finding ways to get accurate data. And so many of the things that we've been trying to make sure is that if we have the accurate data, then we can actually see what supports are needed with our students and our families. And I would say of the 974 students that identify Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander in the school district, there's about over 50% of the Pacific Islander student population that identify as Samoan, right? And so for many of us, we're always trying to figure out ways of supporting, finding accurate data and moving in that way to help see what the needs are. And data is usually where we go to. So, and then one other data point is about 29% of our Samoan students are also receiving special education services within the district. So these are just some data points. It took a little while to get, but we're able to get them, and we're honored to have them because it helps us adjust and move in serving our community efficiently. Next slide. So our next slide is basically the history of the initiative. So San Francisco Unified School District, I would say our Pacific Islander community back in 2015, they started to see specific data. Many people were advocating to disaggregate, and that's basically telling everyone, because many times here they'll lump Asian American and Pacific Islander populations together. And we all know when that happens that we start not to see some of our marginalized groups and their needs, right? And so the community in San Francisco got together and they went to the school board and they started to advocate. So many people consistently started to go to our school board saying, hey, our students need additional support. We want to hold our school district accountable because our students attend here. There's definitely many needs that we have that are not being addressed. And one of the grateful things that had happened was in 2017, 2018, there were two commissioners that started to hear the community. They started to meet the community and ask, you know what, we see you all come often, Commissioner Stephen Cook at the time, Hydra Mendoza at the time. So these were two commissioners. I was like, you know what, the Pacific Islanders are coming to us. They're voicing their concerns about their students. We should listen. And magically, they worked with the community to build out the HAPPY resolution. So it's called the Hawaiian and Pacific Islander resolution back in 2018. And so that was to push for supporting equitable services and staff for Hawaiians, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islander students, right? So that was back in 2018. Years later, especially during the pandemic, and we had our San Francisco had elected the first Pacific Islander commissioner on the board, right? Fa'aonga Molinga, right? And so during that time, now there were more things that we were seeing that needed to be addressed. And one of them was how to disaggregate data. How can we finally say, like, I want to see, or we want to see how our Samoans are doing, how students are doing, and Pacific Islanders are doing academically. What's their academic performance? What data shows of how are we doing? And so we noticed one of the biggest things that Commissioner Molinga at the time noticed was the data was really different, right? They said that our student population was maybe almost close to 500 students. But when we were able to disaggregate data, we were able to separate Pacific Islanders from Asian American and show we had 1,100 students, Pacific Islander students in the district. So that moved to community discussions around, yes, it's great that we have focus around equitable services for our students, but now we feel like there needs to be more specific now that the data is now specific. So in September of 2020, the resolution from 2018 was now amended to now detail certain things that can help support in this policy to help support our students, families, and Pacific Islander staff together. And so this showcases things like, okay, where'd you go? Hey, Ryan, can you slide back? And so many of the things that covered during that time were things like hiring, right? I was hired on as a teacher recruiter at the time. And their goal was, how can we find more Pacific Islanders interested in teaching pre-K or all the way up to 12th grade? So that was the fun job for me, because I'm going out into our community, and many of the community folks that, there were so many different myths. Like I don't know how to do, I'm supposed to be, have a master's. And I said, who told you that? So it's really giving accurate information to our community on there's different ways of applying to becoming a teacher or educator in the school district. It's just finding ways to getting the information to the community. So that was probably one huge thing. And the resolution locked that in for us. This resolution now says, in support of equitable services for our staff and for Pacific Islander students, with a focus of addressing academic disparities among our Samoan students, because remember, they make up more than 50%. And so all these things was to strategize of like hiring supports are needed, translation for district materials that goes out to our families, data collection and disaggregate data, right? Parent engagement, and throughout the initiative, building out a parent unit, the Mato Advisory Council, was so powerful because we knew that the parents had all their hopes and dreams and excitement for their students. It's just getting them the information they needed to support their students, but also to share what they can do as well for educators to support their students, right? Other things that were moved forward in the 2020 amendment of the resolution was culturally relevant curriculum. When we spoke to our students and we spoke to our parents, they're always pushing for all of the curriculum doesn't really talk about our students and relevance of our students. So we started to move in a direction in which we are sitting with different departments in the district to make this happen, right? Science and technology, the arts, curriculum with health and wellness, special education services, right? And then early education. And so all this work, and I know we'll talk a little bit more deep, but I wanted to make sure, we spoke on the migration of our people here to the US, specifically here to San Francisco. Then we moved on to, just talking about, there's this broader glance of the San Francisco Unified in which our students attend. And then lastly, of the resolution that really helped move the needle to where we're at right now in building out one of the first Samoan dual language pre-K classes in public education here in California. And so I will stop talking and I will transition it over to Ms. Epinesa Taylor, who is our educator and our teacher for that AOGA AMATA Samoan pre-K dual language learner program. So thank you so much.
Hello.
Am I on? Is the mic on?
It's on. Is you?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Epinesa Taylor. That's my name. I go by Miss Epinesa, but everyone in the community knows me as Ipo. I'm one of those transmigration that came here in 1970. My aunts were already up here, and my dad, he said, we're gonna go up because he said the gateway out of poverty is education. So he made that move. He wanted us to come up here, get a better education. That's why we migrated here. I came during that time when it was, you had to assimilate. You had to, English was the norm, and we didn't belong to a Samoan church, so we didn't, and my parents was like, they said we had to speak English all the time. And somehow in that, I think I lost you know, a lot of my language because, you know, we didn't talk fluently in Samoan as I wish now like we could have. You know, I grew up, we came to San Francisco. I went to San Francisco Unified School District. I'm a product of them. I am now, you know, teaching here. I think for a long time, I think there might have been two Samoan teachers. I think Mr. Tangaloa and myself. And he was the only Samoan teacher here. So here's, you know, this urban city that and there's a lot of Samoan people here, and no representation anywhere in the school district, you know. So I started out as a teacher's aide. It's just so by chance, I used to walk my brother to school, and I was starting going to college, and his Miss Williams, I'll never forget, she said, you know, I think you would be a great teacher. You know, me, I was like, oh, I don't think so. But she saw the potential in me, and she said, I think you'd be a great teacher. And so that's how I started. I said, okay, and she hired me as a paraprofessional. And I went to school, and I was working, and that's how I became a teacher. And now it's like I couldn't do anything else. Like this, I am really passionate about teaching and, you know, advocating for kids. Yeah, that's I was married. I have 3 kids. They're all grown now. Happy about that. Now I find like I have a lot more time to, I have a lot more time to advocate, you know, be out here and really, you know, doing the hard work, you know, like to get, we want our community, our community's been neglected for so long. And so it's finally time. I was so happy when when Fa'aunga got in there, and then this thing passed. You know, he brought a lot of visibility to our community. And so, the work, all that hard work is done now. You know, we've landed, we think, here. And so now it's just, we feel like it's our time now to make sure that the work that we do it'll benefit all the ones that are, all our young people behind us. So, see what else am I gonna?
From pre-K to someone doing.
All right. So when this thing happened, when it went into law, the initiative, and so Ursula was they were looking for a teacher, and then I had I was there, and I think because I was the only one, I was Samoan, I was already in the district, but I wasn't interested. Because I just wasn't interested, but then the director came to me and said, please, would you do this? We need a teacher, and it's going to take, and Ursula's trying her best, but we can't find teachers. So the first thing, I was like, sure, it's a challenge, and I take challenges hard, okay, give me this challenge, I'll take it on, knowing that nothing's, it's a blank slate, we would have to do a lot of work, So, I mean, not only is it a Samoan dual language with this pre-K, there's nothing, we had nothing here that, so we had to start from scratch. So that's how, we started. And, and the thing is here's a challenge. But the thing is I knew, we would get the, we would, all we can do is do our best, put our best effort in it, and know that what we're doing as educators is we're helping, you know, the future generations. So, you know, it's never about myself. It's always about the greater of the culture, you know, the people. So that's, you know, that's how it started. The first year, I think it was, we had the largest class. There's 24 students. And let me tell you, my class was, and this is because, and I'll never, like Betty, who was the dual language person here, and she said, this has never been done before. Like, usually when we start a new program, a new dual language program, it takes like 2 years to, you know, to research it, get everything that we need, and to launch it. I think it was like 5 or 6 months, right? Or not even that long.
2.5.
2.5? It was 2.5 months. So it was really challenging, but I knew it would happen. You know, as long as I had support, you know, it was me and Ann at the time. And so as long as there was support and there was someone else in with me, I knew it. We do the best we can. That's all we can do. And we had to keep it afloat just because, you know, like here, you know, here's something big. We can't fail. Failure was not an option. So that was how it started. You know, I had to translate a lot of things, you know, and in my classroom the majority was Spanish speaking children. So I not only had to do, you know, I had to translate it into Spanish and in Samoan, just because, you know, I can't just do Samoan when, you know, I can neglect the other kids who are Spanish speaking. So that's how we did it. So, you know, and people come in like, you're doing it in both languages? Yes, because those are the needs in this classroom. You know, it's not just, so we're trying to get it to a point where it can just be Samoan, but right now it's not there yet. It's not there yet. So yeah, it's, you know, it's, we're still doing work. We're, you know, figuring it out still. And so I think like by year 5, and we met, you know, we said that by year 5 we're gonna, you know, everything is gonna be, like we're gonna know exactly how to, you know, how to run the program here. So, is there anything else? Like, that's good.
Yeah, we should let the video sound.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay.
That's perfect. We do have a clip. If Ryan's able to pull it up, it's a 4-minute clip that we did that was actually picked up by the Associated Press, but this was the first year of launching the Samoan pre-K dual language. So it followed Ms. Epinesa in her classroom. Yep.
Talofa tamati. How about this one? Angry. Ita. Say Ita. Ita. Patio lima. Patio lima. Bring it to me. Come to the baby on the rug. Lima. Sefulu. Sefulu tasi. Sefulu lua. Sefulu tolu. Tasi. Lua sefulu tasi. 21.
For the Samoan dual language classroom, we wanted to see what was out there so that we could learn from, you know, other districts and communities, and we didn't see anything. We researched, we looked on the internet, we asked other districts that we were connected to.
Well, you're gonna make a folinga. You're gonna make a folinga, look. What kind of,
That's yours?
what kind of face is that? Fia fia, fa'anoa noa, or ita?
I need Ita.
You want to do the Ita one?
Mad.
Yeah, a mad and an angry face.
You made that?
Fia Fia? All right, mark right here. Good, go ahead. Okay, thank you. Hey, come on. Line up right here. We're going to the...
So instilling language and culture is a huge part of a student's identity, and especially if you come from minority communities or more vulnerable or marginalized communities, having teachers that look like you, sound like you, right? Instill that in you is also going to help you with your confidence in learning, right?
Tangolo Isu, Tangolo Talinga, Tangolo Tulivai. You want to be that? I've seen like the language is being lost and the culture, and you know, most of our kids here are probably second or third generation, and none, you know, they're all English speakers first.
Is it parts of the body?
No? You want a happy mouth? Enojada? Feliz?
You know, not only of our children, you know, children of Samoan heritage are learning, but other kids are learning. So, you know, it's this is what it's all about, you know, learning from each other. If you want to bring, all right, yeah, they can bring it to the rug and. Do your motions, do your motions. This pumpkin is what?
Fia Fia.
Fia Fia. I heard that loud and clear.
We're here, so I feel like we're being seen and we're being heard, and no one's forgetting about us in this mainland, you know, in the education system as well.
Purple. I want purple.
We won't veer too far. Like we'll still have a connection with our culture and our language. So I'm hopeful that we can still stay connected. That even though we're not back home, but we still have a piece of home that, you know, that we're teaching our kids here.
Ia ole talo le te mine o lea o tu tātou whaangasolonga.
The data.
O ia, te tuatula noi te matai kolokas. Ia, Ursula, tai.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share some data sets. So, you know, when we talked about the building out, it started off with passing a policy that'll be the anchor to support the work that we're doing, right? And so I think when building out the Samoan dual language, it's true, it took about 2.5 months because I was hired in the summer and they said, we're launching something and we need your help. And I think when Ms. Epinesa says we didn't have a lot of things, we meant things like posters that had their alphabets in Samoan, our posters that had our numbers in Samoan, the labeling of specific things within the classroom, you know, starting to build it out from scratch. And so moving forward, so that first year, what we wanted to share with you is some of the data findings and the impact of that first year. So the first year, we enrolled 24 students, and that's really the max, right? So we enrolled 24 students. That's the maximum capacity of early education for one educator, right? So, and about 50% of those students were Samoan. And we were so excited. And the recruitment work, the application process, everything that could have, that was so much work, the community came to support. So many things like our partnerships that I know we'll talk about later is our strongest points, where we had the leverage of our community-based organization. We had our parents jumping in to support, to outreach, to recruit. We had all of these entities, like we want to see it successful. We want to see it work. And we needed the district to say the same thing. And they were saying the same thing. So when Ms. Epinesa says the director at the time, that was the director for early education department. She was the superintendent, associate superintendent at the time, really pushing, because we had Spanish immersion. We had Arabic, we had Vietnamese, we have Cantonese, right? So we have these other languages, but the advocacy work around getting something in public education for our Samoan students, it definitely was a push, and things were aligned. I was grateful Ms. Epinesa was in a district teaching pre-K, and the willingness to let's see how we can merge the Samoan dual at the same time. And so one of the data sets that I wanted to share was, so that first year we had 24 students enrolled. We were able to graduate 12 of those students that year. And one of the biggest data that I can share that we got so excited that didn't make the news, but for us, it was very rewarding, was that before the program launched, the data showed that our students were at 13% ready for kindergarten. So there's an assessment called Kindergarten Readiness Index, like are our students ready for kindergarten? And so we were at 13% out of 100, like our students were at 13% ready. After the program, we were able to, and the students that moved on to kindergarten, we ran the assessment again with those students. We ended up showcasing the impact that in 1 year, our students went from 13% to 54% ready for kindergarten. And that's in 1 year. So which showcases, that's like 300% increase in 1 year. And all we did was adjust things of relevance for our students, include the Samoan language during their pre-K time, right? During their pre-K that, and things of relevance, that things that they would see at their household, they'll probably see in the classroom, in the area of, in the house. They have a house play area, right? So all these things. And so for us, we're trying to say, like, this works. Not huge adjustments need to be made, but the level of relevance and the level of adjusting curriculum so it makes sense for many of our students, and the push for our parents to say, we want this and we want to continue it, and we're going to continue to move. And so our biggest goal was, that particular year was also the year, that was the first year that we had the most Pacific Islander students enrolling in early education, And so for us, it's like, okay, we're hitting these beautiful numbers. We see a change in data. How can we sustain it now? But again, it goes back to, we needed it to policy to anchor the work so that the accountability work pushes forward while we work on the sustainability and the actual work directly with our students and families. And so I wanted to make sure that that was shared out as far as the impact in 1 year. I'm excited because we're working on an assessment for the last three years of it existing, so we can see any of the trends around during this time as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. As we all know, it takes a village, right? It takes a village, and we've all been working on our assessments so far for our students. So therefore, I wanted to very much highlight our partnerships. Whaingapaanga on the Fa'asamo initiative, including the pillar of the Fa'asamo initiative is our Matua Advisory Council. For everyone's information, there's different parent advisory councils here in San Francisco. There's the African American Parent Advisory Group. There's the Native American Indian Advisory Group. There's the Migrant Education. The newer parent advisory groups include the Latino and the Asian pets. But Matua Advisory Council is very important to the work because they are the ones that make recommendations to the Board of Education as far as whether they are following or whether they are working on the resolution that was amended back in 2021. So Macho Advisory Council is the pillar of the FASA initiative. We also have community-based organizations, or in your side of the world, they're called NGOs. Like, for example, the SALT team here, the Pacific Island Cultural District, the Samoan Development Center, Samoan Community Development Center. These are organizations that have agreements with the district. Just so I wanted to share an information with you. Way before we came into the fold, there were a lot of other people and organizations taking advantage of Pacific Islander data without our consent. So therefore, they were writing grants on behalf of their groups just for them to get funding for something that we had no inclusion, right? So now what we're doing under the FASAMO initiative is we are trying to centralize all our efforts, whether it's from the Department of Education itself, along with our nonprofit organizations. So therefore, our language is the same, our terminology is the same, because we all serve one purpose. And that purpose is to make sure that each and every student's needs are met within the district goals. We also like to acknowledge our translation department, like Ms. Epenesa touched base on earlier. When we came in, the district had a agreement with some organization from Los Angeles. San Francisco, and then along with that language was very different from what we were used to, right? So we were trying our best. To this day, we're trying to translate every single file, every single amendment, law, bylaw within San Francisco Unified School District. Also, the Office of Access and Equity, Official o Maua, Leala Tusa. Ola Tone, the Tasino o Nanga Manitanga Wow. The Isra Fata or Ino de Lato Tom Fight. Awa or Vainani to Tono officially or a Native American Indian education or a migrant education, Yaman a Native Hawaiian Pacific Island. Or is a Sengalo Vainani to or a Native American Indian migrant education. They are federally funded under the grants from the federal government. Our Tanto, the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander, we are not federally funded. Therefore, they say package or two Asia, pero ye selanga tupe e fa tino ingarwen, or le ne laven and buoy fa tua. Our San Francisco Unified Enrollment Center, Manishi Fo Tato Company Masanyai, our local trade and commerce and vocational companies who have been a big help with all our students, right? Also included is our partnership with Stanford University and our City College of San Francisco. Speak about those programs. When we came into the fold, we eliminated all the programs that were set by people who dictated programs, right? We created programs that was much needed and was suggested through the lens of a Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander student and through the lens of all of our families. These are the benchmarks of how we incorporate our cultural values within the curriculum and syllabus here in San Francisco. The VASA High School Pathway, VASA is being taught up in the City College of San Francisco, where high school students could take City College classes that is pertaining to Pacific Islander studies, the history and the arts class of Pacific Islanders, right? They host the Talanoa series monthly, where they have a Pacific Islander of esteemed background in education who is an educator or lecturer from all over California be their guest speaker. Talanga de Ato is a program that we started last year, where we saw the need for our rising students from elementary, who are 1st to 5th grade, rising students who are about to move to 6th grade, and our rising students from middle school or 8th grade moving to 9th grade. that there was a gap there that our students and our family had no idea what are the next steps for the next level of education. There was misinformation getting sent everywhere that was very concerning to us, right? So we hosted our very first conference last year, and I'm glad to say that the data from that this year, 87% of students or new enrollees who enrolled into high school this year are successful as far as the classes that they are going to, all the needs that they need, the requirements that they're aware of in order to graduate, right? So especially our middle school students, we would also like to just continuously keep them in the fold because that's the foundation of each and every program that we're going to. Our FASO Fridays, it's a read aloud Fridays where we have a member of community read aloud traditional Pacifica books, Samoan books, where we take the time out to read to our elementary schools. This has a lot to do with our literacy benchmark, right? We offer all these books to our families and our students, and it's also incorporated within our Pacifica Reads events that we kicked off to help address literacy within our community. So So'ole Alpha, it's a program designed to connect all the Pacifica employees within San Francisco Unified School District for us to come under one flagship to understand and value each other as far as our commitment, not only to education, but our commitment to making sure that we're there for all our students, right? So that is a ongoing program that has been received with welcome arms from all our employees so far. It goes without saying that we also have violence intervention programs. Whātano ina ia nisi fo iau whetena inga e aona tupu mai tono a o te tasi. Ro whapeono mātou ngāru ue whaatasi ai manamatanga ruenga o re puipuinga o sangare mūrau tene te tono San Francisco nei. Nea ia whapeono whaatino nisi o whaatananga e whaamāsino whai nisi o aonga maururunga i San Francisco. E whaatano ina ele puipuia tau o tātou alom whanau. Ia, ai mai sei foi nisi o ngana sā moa o ina pia. Ro tau whai pia, e aole ngana sā moa I o tātou alom whanau whaawetaini, especially waitaini o sama I tuwango a onga. Ia, e wanu vai aso e whai inisi o whasenga o le ngana sā moa mo alom whanau so tātou. No. Then lastly, our latest program that we created is called Tautua, or the Tautua. This is an internship program for all our high school students to get involved in local trade and commerce. I think it's a great program because San Francisco stopped teaching this back 20 years ago, right? Where they stopped teaching this within the curriculum of school, right? So this is where we partner with our local trades and companies to make sure that we provide employment opportunities for all our students in the summer who are still within the San Francisco Unified School District. I think that's so far, it's a list of all the programs and how we are working or say renase whaatatianga au ili to site for ima o kalama na whairima tu. Ia, pei foi ana tāua e nisi foi o penga whina ngalu. Ia, whamoe moe lawe le ngango le atua. Whawhan mai, ma musu mai ngalu wenga. Ina ia tam whai e whaatino, whamoe moe a wānum whanau o so tātou. No, a teimi nei lau whionga sa la e le lawane tāti atu tātou whasam. Pe ni whasini o na tūlai mai tātou chat, ai le tu natu se whaatalanga murmuri ma le leitu, ma le ngang whaaloalo.
Malo lava le whaasoa. Ia manatu o lewa sauno mai Ryan ele I sauni fasili. Pe ona tātou talanoina. E tele aina le aini fasili ona le fia whaalongolongo ma le tutoa o le tātou au mai moa. Ia ai na ela o fasili na whawhau ana po. Alewa umana tali. You have answered my question that I kind of put forth on my script, but you have answered the question. Ai o lau fasili. More like first is a comment. Is ele ese senga o whawhita uli e talawhia ngai ma oto. Ma le fo e whawhia ngai ma mātou I nei. You know, about disaggregating data. We face that. And we question how sovereign is the data for Pacific. Where is the mana of the data when it's we have to disaggregate it? Why do we need to disaggregate data? E pe ona saunoa ia tuumata mai. A lot of the stuff that we're putting in with our engagement with the community is the cultural knowledge, cultural intelligence, the language, our protocols, our cultural values. How is data depicting all that? Do we have to disaggregate it? Why not culturate it? That's the innovation. You aggregate data, disaggregate data, we culturate so that it is an accurate representation of how we live and how we breathe as Samoans overseas, abroad. So it's just wafo ole malo pe ona saunoa ia Ursula on the policy mana o mia foi numera. They want numbers, they want quantitative. What about qualitative, which is our stories, our multiple truths, how we live? E kawa umaile talanoa our narratives. Ia ele mawhaila ele whai numera ona whaaliliu umana na vaenga. So e te le alenga luenga. Le tau mawhai atua, ele New Zealand statistics I nei. Ile tau mawhai ngā o Pasifika wai o ka se mau Pasifika I nei. Awa malo losi uma Pasifika I nei. Just something to say that we do share the same issues. I suppose that it will hopefully lighten your work and we can work together and collaborate in how we do this. Because it leads me to my only question is you ask Ursula, how can we sustain that 54% increase of readiness for how can we sustain? We have a program here. If you Google Vaatele Consulting, under the leadership of Dr. Ray Silata, who leads the Pacific Early Literacy program here in New Zealand, has proven successful. It's about bilingual, offering bilingual books, books as a catalyst for children to succeed using their measina. It's about le lalanga ina o measina I to tono o le tusia and the storybooks. Pretty much about the cultural capital of children, where you talk, the books are about their home. It's about how they live. It's not about owning a yacht or, those things, which is way out of the league of some of our Pacific children. So she's got that. If you want to hook up, I can hook you up. Male sungai Dr. Racy Lata, because that's the current hot work that's going on in New Zealand for bilingual Pacific children. Ale Paula, na umaile na o facility. Paula, ope ese facility. May any other questions that have come up, Ryan, sorry. Dr. Yakoba's got a question. Are you going to open it up for her so she can ask? Yakoba, lo afionga whaalongo? Whaalongo.
Okay. Can you hear me, Tulowa?
Yes, we can.
Quite often when it comes to policy shifts, we know how slow moving, the process can be. So it's really wonderful to hear that, through the work that you've been doing, but bringing your communities with you, you've been able to create real change. one thing that I wanted to ask is more about understanding the language proficiency of those 1,000 students that you've recognized within the program, the Samoan students. I'm just wondering, because in New Zealand, we have a very large proportion of Samoan, but interestingly, only around 36% of the New Zealand-born Samoan population are actually fluent in Samoan. So I'm wondering, are we seeing a similar trend in San Francisco around the language proficiency or use of Samoan language in their homes, or, used in day-to-day communication? So I'm just wondering around the language proficiency question and the sort of frequency of the ngangana use amongst children and their families, Malo.
That's a great question. Thank you so much. I would say there's been an increase in the interest of wanting to learn it, right? And so I would say there's generations, a couple of generations before me that their interests of like wanting to move, but it's their children that are like, hey, you grew up in a household or you didn't, but somehow the interest is coming with this new generation of wanting to learn. This is one thing we can teach all day, of the language and the importance and the value and sharing how this is God's gift to us, but it's also the willingness and the want. And so students have been very vocal about, even the parents have been vocal for the early education work, but the high school students have been vocal about, we wish we had that. And many of the parents get excited because they're like, oh, our kid, okay, well, go on and get it, and knowing the value of having it and really shifting the perspective around, like, literally God gave this to us. Like, we're the one community that has this language we can hold on to. And it's just finding adults. We know that sustainability is hard, but we also know that we have our experts with us. It's just adjusting in which our time and prioritizing and making sure we're taking care of our educators, right? And making sure folks like Ms. Epinesa don't think about retiring anytime soon. And also, working with our recruitment team to make sure they're cultivating new candidates. There's the interest, even like things like Stanford University, those students were pushing. It was like, we want Samoan language here. And they found an instructor and professor and they made it happen. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's brewing, and it's happening across. We're just getting excited, like, how can we meet that demand if that's happening? And so I love that we have when Salah, when we're all getting together, we're just like, oh, well, this is international. Mm-hmm. We're all going to share resources. We're all going to build it together. We're all going to continue to move in this way. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't seem like they're doing it this way, they're doing it this way. But we know that if we're all sharing similar, disparities and similar challenges in the different countries that we're in, we at least can share our strategies, because our strategies might not necessarily work. We wanted to anchor ours around, like, although it looks great right now in the movement of having something created, sustainability is real. And I would always push to also share that it didn't just take the 2.5 months. It took 2.5 months to actually build it and launch it, but it took 30 years of Pacific Islanders here in San Francisco and Bay Area to push the advocacy, to continue to voice concerns, to continue to say, do you see us? We're here. To a point now where we're now saying, you know what, maybe we don't really need y'all. We actually have the experts we need. We have the values, we have the treasures, and it's just basically reclaiming it all in the space and really sharing, like, we got what we need. Who are we waiting for? Type thing. So that's kind of like the push and the wants. But I would say we can pull that data set. We can figure out, like, the three of us can say, you know what, that's a great data set to look at, proficiency. let's see if we can launch that out and see what we can do. It's 1,000 students. Yeah. So we probably can be able to make that happen to see. And knowing too, the planes and, you know, they haven't stopped arriving, you know, we still have our families, like many new families that have touched down here in San Francisco. And so we're also trying to make sure that the levels of that there's access to the language if needed. Our churches that are still here, like they hold strong on the language. And so the practice of it happens in those spaces, but having it in public education in one school so far is definitely a start for us. But thank you so much for the question. I probably went all the way around, but
I like to address like when she said like the bureaucracy of things, and you know like had we had we just went with the bureaucracy, like it would probably. But I think how we did it was we said we're gonna do this and it could happen. So I think our willingness to just go out the box, do things differently. It's really what made it happen so fast, and knowing that the community, that we have the community and we can reach out to them. And so the thing for me is like is that lost generation, and we're talking about the two, like the second and third generation that are here now, that who has no, like the language is not in their home, their parents don't speak the language, so they've tremendously lost that language, you know, and some of them don't even have their roots, like no roots, you know, no back home to the island. So those are the people that are really, like for me, like really said that if we don't, you know, once language is lost, the culture is lost. So this is, my thing is just keeping our language alive, because we know that when, if our language is alive, everything else will survive it. So that's, I mean, for me, that's the biggest thing, is just sustaining our language and making sure we're doing everything we can, to make sure that things are, even if it's just us, and we talked about, it might just be us for the next, but, I think we're up to the challenge, and, and definitely the right people are here right now, and our times align, all the timing has aligned to this point where, as, we're all passionate about what we're doing, and, all you need, if all you need is 2 people, and we got 3 right here. So,
and to finally add on to it, you spoke about policy, right? Which is very important, because now we have a solid anchor of where we can anchor all the work. So from the educational standpoint, o loa tu leile the silapasi or curriculum from the educational standpoint, le ala fulane le ona mātou mafuta va o le ala ona mātou mafuta malisi fo tātou whainga pā le ia tamawhai ia tusalinga ngana le mātou te whaungaina. So that way, these partnerships, our nonprofits or our NGOs, could service the families in a way that we couldn't reach the family, right? Ono tatanuma, o lo ainga, o lo whaia onga mua mua, o lo ainga, o lo whaia onga mua mua. Mai lesa se la wale ata, everything we learn in life, tātou te mua mai te tonu, o le whatu a inga tangata. Yana le, o le tātou whaailea ma le tātou approach lea, as a Pacifica, as tangata Samoa, as tangata Pacifica. Ele o malama tene a inisi fo iao o tangata ele a walai tātou te o inai. But we understand those, right? Which is why it's important for us to have the policy there to anchor our work. So that is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to unify what we're doing in education along with our nonprofits, so that way we spread it all over to our communities and our families.
Whawhitai lava, mālo le whaasoa ia manatu ua le toi aini tātou whasili ua malia ato le whaafunga anga Tātou I tūlangi e lima o loo au wai mai I le nei whaasoa. Ia ai le I whai uina le tātou mafutanga I se tatalo. Ia, avea ia o whaatau wa ai whai masui o I tūlangi e wha o Aotearoa, Hawaii, Australia, ma Samoa. Whaaleo ai le anganga whawhitai le sao o le aonga San Francisco Unified School District I California. La langa le ato, la langa o le tātou saolotonga ia tātou measina, weaving our connectivity to our cultural treasures. Ua uma ona ula whengu whaasau au awhai o tātou tua a. Le matala alanga e mauailo tātou saolotonga. O lea ua lima mai I o tau a au e whaawau le la langa ina. Ma si il matala alanga. Ia a wā lava le manuia o alom whanau o lo ola ma soifua I Amerika. Ia o tau ma tātou uma. Ia o ma atatau ma whenu. E mana o mia ina ia sao ma le lei le la langa ina o le ola whaaleanganga, anga nuu, ma le ngangana, a walo tātou wola sa o loto, ma le ola lau le lei, whaafetai te le lava. Ia, please relay our gratitude and thanks to the leadership and management of the SFUSD. Thank you, San Francisco Unified School District, for acknowledging and adhering to the tapu of our Samoan children's cultural identity. Thank you to Matavai, Ursula Ann, and Epenesa for realizing that dream for our Samoan children in San Francisco. Famalitu lesi tulotoa le atunu. Ia tupu pea le oli e whao Sofia le talitinga. Ia tupu pea le whaatuatua e whao Sofia le mai. Ia tupu pea ke riso e whao Sofia le ola fou. A wai le whaingo fia la o tou ma la tātou ngaluenga. Ia o tou mana ia whaamanuia le atua. Ia whaftaitele le pa ia malmalu Samoa. Ia nisi fo e whawhiangainga whapea whalitua. Whaia o ngā mātua malisau whainga o tangata lau tele o Samoa I le kelope. Whaftai mo tāpua inga o le nei whaamoe ua I male manuia. Ia whaftai mulmuli lava mo le whaatonu sili o le Bluwave, le fionga whimaono malau au waa. Ia whaftai tele lava mo la o tau langolangoina o le nei whaamoe ia whaamanuia le atua. Ia, tatalo le atatou tūlia loa le nei ala tā ua whaailo le San Francisco United District School. Whaapea le whaasoa le tātou mālo tutu atasi o Samoa. Ia ai mai se New Zealand. Ia e tā oso ai se toi ti mataina o le tautua le nei tau sangafou. O le tātou whaasoa mo Aperila o le atapena me le au waa mai Hawaii. Ia soifua ma e manuianga luenga o te toi o le nei masina. Ai wala awa tui lau tō whātu me tā vai. Whaamole lava pe mwhai o na whai o mai talo ma le whaaloalo lava whaafitai.
Tei atu rau whionga sala, mo mua na mona, mori le ngā whaafitai tele, le ata, mo le nei lau mātou te whaastoa tuai tūlanga ngā wenga, lo whea ngai ai mai mātou le nei tūlanga. Tele I o lui tau ma no tanga fou o lo fotu ai mai le nei vai tau. Ono le mautonu le te inga, o iai le malo tele. Ia ai ta tonu le ngā, le se me whainta pā tātou I yama, whina ngalo tātou tai siri. Lofa mai le atuanga le lei, o ai lo tō soifua lau le lei, a wārea o oina o alum whanau o Samoa, I no fuanga o lo ngā hue mau wai, ma waso mātou malos, I tau tuaina I pēr le loa o Samoa, I le ni ai, ma I tātou mana tua pēr. O anga luenga tātou te whaia, I le mō tātou a le vi inga ma whanetanga e tō mauantu I a tua tātou wifo whamauna ratu le tua era talo. Ma o whalawa o mātou tangata le atua I lo wanga le nei malu si esi. Le nei wa e lima taita ina mai le sufua mātou wola. O mwhai e o le mātou pāti patia le nei tau mwhainga mai pai. Ala le lo mātou soalau kuleina ma le vai I ilima. I tau mwhainga o mātou tau mwhainga. Le ia tō maulo mātou whātua I a te oi. E ala I le au au ina o mea sina sa e fua I a tau. Mātou te via pia oilo mātou tai sili ono lo wang le lei, whawhetai lo alofa, whawhetai lo wang le lei ya sa mua mo tangata. Le tuoro mātou te mawha mo mole, una mailo mana e pui ma leo leo ya ti mātou, ai lātou ma sa mai moa, sa mai moa mai le nei whasa naua, ya mātou lo nofa nei wha mo mole. Lo whangia ero mātou tai, o pele ola ma le malosi atu. Mātou, nāru mātou te talo mātou te atu I la ufio le nei aso, e tolu aina mātou le mana lo ngā ia, o lo soa peri e superiso o mātou ole mara wai nei. Amen.
Amene. Aftai lava. Manuia le afiafi ia po le auli ia po le tae au foi. We'll keep in contact. Well done.
Thank you.
San Francisco
Happy
team.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's.
We'll catch up soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Whaasoifua.
So awesome.
Yep,